Hello everybody, today we're going to be looking at what I'm going to be throwing for the 2024 disc golf season. So I just got this Grip AX5 disc golf bag. I haven't done around with it yet. I like how many discs it holds. I like how light it is, how high quality it is, how much storage it has. It's a great bag. I don't actually know if you're supposed to put discs in here. I don't think you are, but I can. I've been putting with these for probably about a year now, somewhere around there. These are D-Line Flex 2 P2s. They're very beat up, and I've just been putting with them for a very long time. I like how straight they are when I putt. I've really been liking these, and I definitely recommend P2s. And then I have this A5. This A5 and this Watt overlap a little bit. This is a little bit less quality than the Watt, and it's a bit more shallow. This has gotten pretty beat up, and it's pretty straight. It'll fade out a little bit at the end, but I just feel really confident when I throw it. This is in the 300 soft plastic. I think this is one of the better feeling putters for my forehand. If I throw this on forehands a lot, I can trust it on backhands to go straight, fade out a little bit, put it on a touch of Annie, it'll kind of flex, fade out at the very end. I really like this disc. The Watt, this fits great in my hand. It feels incredible for my forehand, and this flies just like dead straight, and if I throw it on Anheuser, it'll turn and push to flat. This is the Deputy. This is like my really flippy putter. This one is a little beat up. It's pretty new, but if I throw this flat, it'll kind of turn and it won't really come back. I can put it on hyzer, it'll flip up to flat, and then maybe turn a little bit at the end. This is definitely one of my favorite discs. This is a Bravo Artemis. I've had this for a while, and I've gotten it very beat up. If I crank on it flat, it'll fly straight for a while and then fade out a little bit at the end. This is my main forehanding disc, because if I just forehand it on flat, it'll fade out, and I just think this fits great in my hand. It's like one of the best feeling putters for backhand, at least in my opinion. I just love this disc. And then we have this Tempo. You might be thinking that the Tempo and the Artemis kind of overlap. Like I said, the Artemis has just gotten a lot, really beat up, and this is like brand new, so I think it feels pretty similar to the Artemis. This is just a lot more overstable than the Artemis. I can throw this flat and it'll fade out like quite a bit pretty early on the line, and I can throw really good forehands with this. I can throw good flex shots. This is a great disc. I definitely recommend the Tempo. And then this is a very special disc. This is my Lone Star Disc Armadillo, and this is very beat up. This is my main approach disc. I do like the thumb track, especially for my approach disc, because I just feel like if I set it kind of on or right on the side of that thumb track, I can grip it better. I only throw this for approaches, but the reason why this disc is so special is it was my first ace disc. It was a very short hole. It was not very far, which is why I threw this, and I put it on a touch of hyzer, and it pushed and hit dead center. So now we get into my mid-ranges. I feel super comfortable with throwing mid-ranges, and I think they fit great in my hand. First one I have is this Alpha Midi. This disc is incredible feeling. I do throw a lot of forehands with this. This is just reliably overstable. If I throw it on quite a bit of Anheuser, it'll flex out, push, fade out at the very end. If I throw it flat, it'll fade out a lot pretty early on in the flight. Whenever I pull out this disc, I feel confident while throwing it, which is a big factor in my game. Next one I have is this Thought Space Pathfinder. I love the straight mid-range slot. So this and the Origin are kind of similar. I'll get to that in a sec. I love this disc because if I throw it flat, it'll go almost dead straight, but it'll fade out a little bit at the end. And I think it feels incredible for the backhand. I think it's one of the best feeling discs in my entire bag. It's just an incredible disc. And then this is my favorite mid-range I have, this Discmania Origin. I kind of just got this disc, but I played around with it, and I threw it on probably a third of my shots. So at the beginning of the round, it was if I threw it flat, it'll go straight and fade out a little bit at the end, kind of almost the exact same flight as the Pathfinder. But because of how much I threw it, towards the end of the round, if I threw it flat, it'd turn a little bit and come back. And if I put this on a touch of hyzer, it'll flip up to flat and push straight almost the rest of the flight. I think the Origin is one of the greatest discs ever created. And the last mid-range I have is this Westside Discs Tersis. So I dyed this. I have a video on my channel. I definitely recommend go checking that out on how to do a spin dye. And at the end of the video, I did I kind of tested out taking the disc die and kind of like coloring in the stamp. If I throw this flat, it'll turn and come back a little bit at the end. I think once it gets a bit more beat up, it'll fly a little less like my Origin, and a bit more of what I want it to be, like a bit more of a really understable, not really unstable, but like usably understable mid-range. And now for my fairway drivers, I have 5. We will start with this First Run Z Raptor. I like how shallow it is because I don't have very big hands. Throw this on skip shots. If I throw it flat, it'll fade out really fast. If I put it on a bunch of Anheuser, it'll flex out. And then I have this Innova Thunderbird. This has gotten very beat up, but it's like with this plastic, it like stays overstable even though it's really beat up. It's weird. I don't really know what plastic it is in. I can put this on a decent amount of Anheuser and it'll flex out of it. I can throw it flat and it'll push and fade out. It just like, this is my workhorse and I can always rely that this will fade out. And then I have this Star Leopard 3, and I don't throw this very often. This is more of my like forehand roller disc, but if I throw this flat, it'll turn and it won't really come back because it doesn't have much fade. It'll kind of turn and then kind of settle flat. If I put it on a touch of hyzer, it'll flip up to flat, turn a little bit, maybe fade out at the end. This one has gotten pretty beat up. And then I have this Essence, but I really like this disc. And if I put this on a decent amount of hyzer, it'll pop up to flat, turn a little bit, fade at the end. If I throw it flat, it'll kind of turn and then flip to flat. And then this disc, I don't throw very often. This is more of my roller disc, a 400G F7. It's just like, I don't need to throw this very often because of how understable it is. Because like, if I throw this flat and hard, it'll get all the way down to a roller. It's just so unstable and I just don't use it very often. So this could go out of my bag, but I'm going to keep it in for now. And then for the distance drivers, forward, this fits incredible for my backhand. And what I like about it for the forehand is that like, because of how gummy the Bravo plastic is, like I feel like I can just like grip it well. If I throw it flat on a backhand, it'll go straight for a while, fade out a decent bit at the end. If I put it on Anheuser, flex out a little bit. I dyed this, and I think it looks really cool. This has also gotten pretty beat up. And then we have this G-Star Destroyer. This is a little lightweight. It's 169 grams, and this thing fits great for my backhand. If I throw it flat, it'll turn decent bit and then fade out at the end. This is pretty beat up, which is why I can actually turn a Destroyer. But this thing fits perfectly for my forehand, and if I get a good rip on it, I can throw it probably 300, maybe 320 feet on a forehand, which is really good for me because I don't have a good forehand at all. And then this disc is very special to me. This was the first disc I got. This is a Pro Wraith, and it is incredibly beat up. And this is like my big distance disc. If I throw it kind of flat and high, it'll turn and fade back. But I can throw this on a decent amount of hyzer, it'll pop up to flat and turn, come back. And I just really, really like this disc. I think it looks really cool. And then my final disc is this Lone Star Discs Harrier. It is incredibly flippy. This is like my distance driver roller disc. I can throw this flat and it'll get down to a roller very quickly. I can throw it on a ton of hyzer and it'll pop up to flat. I don't really like the feel of it for a backhand because of how domey it is. I don't have to throw it very often, so I don't really have to like deal with that very often. That's going to be it for my 2024 in the bag. If you have any questions about any of the discs I throw, or maybe any suggestions about discs, please comment them. Please go watch some of these videos up here somewhere. I don't know where they are, but they're somewhere up here. And I'll see you in the next video.